Can it be the week that UCF gets back on track and puts a dub in the win column? We're going to talk all things West Virginia as an early TNT game heads to the bounce house. So everybody, welcome back to Charge On. As always, I'm your host, Sean Green. And as always, we are sponsored by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Guys, we say it every week. FanDuel is the place to bet on any college football games. But if you are a UCF fan, it's the best lines out there. I haven't even checked the line. So we're going to get that at some point in this show. We'll let you guys know the line. I think early it was 7.5. UCF was favored. I'm sure that line has moved. But if you want the best lines, I don't even care what the line is. I know that the best line to get it is on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook and a proud sponsor of the Charge On podcast. Nick Geddes joins me per usual for the pregame podcast. Nick, it kind of feels like, it's kind of like with my Patriots right now. I feel like going into the week, there's a calmness of like, oh, we're playing X team. And we haven't had that feeling in a minute because we've been playing teams that we've kind of gone into the week assuming UCF was going to lose to. Kansas State, we kind of felt UCF would win, but Kansas for sure. Cincinnati, we kind of felt, listen, this is probably going to be a game that UCF loses. This is kind of the first game in the last couple of weeks where you feel like UCF is the better team going in. But how are you doing, and how do you feel about this weekend's matchup?
I am doing great. It sucks that I was not able to really do much with the Cincinnati game this week. I didn't really have a great opportunity to watch that game live on Saturday, unfortunately. But I don't think I missed much.
You didn't.
I don't think I did. I was following along on my phone the entire time, and then when I got back to my hotel, I was able to dive into it enough to understand what sort of went wrong there. Seems like UCF, I guess, to give my general reactions real quick before we move on to West Virginia. I guess my general reaction there is, Sean, we said in week one, we noticed it immediately, like, oh, wow, UCF's doing a guard rotation. That needs to stop as soon as possible. And we're in week 6, and we're 6 games in, and man, they're just rotating everybody around, aren't they? And I don't know if that's like they're having so many like penalties on offense and everything, and it's like I don't know if that's a part of it or what, but clearly there's just zero continuity on that offensive line right now, and we're 6 games in, and that's a problem. So I don't know what the ceiling is of this group. Ultimately, I've been telling you all year, it just seems like something that's just not going to get better in season. But find something, stick with it. Let's move forward. I wish I could say that about the quarterback position, but again, that one seems like it's going to be rotated in and out, and I just have no idea anymore there. But yeah, not great when you look at it, and it's like UCF had 39 minutes of possession. The defense, it's like I don't even want to talk about the defense anymore because they're doing their thing. They're a top 5 unit in the conference. They played well enough to beat Kansas. They played well enough to beat Cincinnati, especially since against Cincinnati held them under their totals by so much. It's just unfortunate they're not getting rewarded for what they're doing. This is an offensive issue, but we turn the page. We go to West Virginia, and UCF is looking at this probably as this is our get-right game in the Big 12. We're going to get our first Big 12 victory. And here's the thing. I think West Virginia is feeling the same way when they look at UCF. These two teams they're in similar situations, Sean, but at the same time not. Because at the very least, UCF has gone up against Kansas State, Kansas, and Cincinnati. And at various points of all those games, UCF was, I would say, maybe,
competitive.
I wouldn't say, I was going to say in it, but I don't think they were really in the Cincinnati game when you scored 3 points for most of it. But they were competitive because their defense was giving them a fighting chance, and UCF was at least moving the football. They just were allergic to scoring for various reasons. But if the offense can't figure it out against this West Virginia team, this West Virginia defense, then, man, it just is what it is. It's just not meant to be this year. And it just seems like this is the definitive, draw a line in the sand. Is UCF going to be competing for a bowl game this year or not? It starts with this one. If they lose this one, I think we could confidently say they're not winning 3 more games throughout the rest of the season. If they win this one, we're still keeping something to hold on to. So I think this is a line in the sand game ultimately for UCF.
Yeah, it's not a hyperbole. This is a must-win game. This is a must-win game for UCF. If they lose this game, the hope of going to a bowl game is most likely out the window. We've kind of gone through the ways that UCF can get to a bowl game. I've been very transparent with you guys that the rest of your home games are the games you need to win. If you get one on the road against Baylor, BYU, or Texas Tech, that'd be great. That'd be awesome. But the likelihood of that happening is a lot smaller than beating a Houston, Oklahoma State, and West Virginia. So this is a must-win game. That's what this episode will be titled, must-win game. And the offensive line, I did my rant, my spiel. Obviously, Nick, you didn't kind of watch the Cincinnati game, but I would say UCF had a chance to win. They were moving the ball. Like that was what was so frustrating. I think that's what's very frustrating about this UCF team at times is you see when everything is humming, and Scott Frost mentioned it. Scott Frost said, this team, like, it's not working in conjunction. Like, the offense can be really good at times, but one part of the offense isn't working, and that kind of just, screws everything else up. And I think you look at the defense, and Scott Frost, I love this way of coaching. He even said, yes, the defense is playing really good. They're keeping us in games, but they have certain breakdowns here. They have certain breakdowns there. I want them to be great. And if they can, not give up a big play here or make sure you're on assignment here, you're even giving us even a better chance. So though I agree, and the defense is 100%, like, especially last week, kept us in it, and the offense had the ball for 40 minutes and really couldn't do much with it. I think that's where you kind of look at this UCF team and say, listen, if you can get a win this week against a West Virginia team that on paper you should be better than, and that's saying something given these, like you said, these teams are in very similar situations. I think that can get your mindset back on the right track of everything we're doing is leading to something positive. And like I said, a bowl game needs to be that.
Yeah, I think fan bases really live off of hope a lot of times, and you're kind of looking for any of that. And if you find a way to lose a football game, another one at home, by the way, against this team, I mean, we've talked a lot about people staying for games and stuff like that. Their people won't even be coming to the games after if they figure out a way to lose to this West Virginia team. I mean, I just can't say it enough how bad of a football team West Virginia is. Like I said, both of these teams are starting at the same point, with, year zero, both have their reunion with the head coaches, Rich Rodriguez for West Virginia, Scott Frost for UCF. But UCF has been competitive in these football games. So you could point to certain moments where it's like, man, if they had just made that play, or if they just made this play, it might be a different outcome. You can't really say that about West Virginia. Now, West Virginia was able to beat Pitt this year in overtime, but that's a rivalry game. Rivalry games, you sort of, for the most part, you throw out all the books and you go play. And West Virginia won that one.
And also Pitt had a different quarterback.
Yeah, completely different since they have the true freshman that's playing now, who's awesome. But since then, 41-10 to Kansas, a team that UCF should have beat. 48-14 to Utah, and then last week, or the week prior rather, because they're coming off a bye week. Side note: they're 21-7, I believe, with Rich Rodriguez as coming off a bye, so keep that in mind. But again, it's a bad team.
21-7,
21-7 coming off a bye in his career.
He's coached in 28 games as a head coach coming off of a bye. There's no way that is accurate. How many seasons has he been a head coach?
Do you want? I'll give me a second. I'll go pull up the stat again.
21-7 is a crazy stat, but okay, keep going.
But anywho, a couple weeks ago they played BYU. Another good. Again, these are good teams. I mean, Utah, BYU, but lost 38-24 to BYU. Like they're not even like in the competitive ballpark in these football games right now, and their defense is basically they're just out there to get scored on. So, but UCF is struggling to do that, and It's got to change for this game. At the very least, the offensive line is going to have to find a way to get some push. You got to establish the running game in this one, and by all means, just do what you can, because every other team that faces them seems to have no problem scoring.
Yeah, let's talk about West Virginia a little bit. Rich Rod, obviously we talked about it, that when Scott Frost was hired, we said usually the retread hires do not work. And jury's obviously still out for both of these guys. This is year zero for both of them. They had to replace an entire roster. We said that we felt that Rich Rodriguez, though, had a little bit of a head start, right? He was coaching in college football last year. He was coaching at a really good Jack State team. He turned that program around, brought a lot of his guys from Jack State over to West Virginia. But you kind of can see, Nick, just how much quarterback play is so crucial, not just in the NFL, but in all facets of football, in college football specifically. If you don't have a decent to average starting quarterback, it doesn't matter what you've got on the roster. Granted, they've had some injuries. They lost their starting running back, I think, in week 1. That's really hurt them on offense. But Nick, they've had, I think, 4 starting quarterbacks, or not 4 quarterbacks that have played snaps to this point. So is it, and yes, to be fair, like, they have not been competitive in the conference to this point. Yes, they beat Pitt, but in the conference, they have not been competitive. They've been losing by at least 2 scores in every single game, more than 2 scores to Kansas, Utah. So how much is it to do with, the quarterback play? Obviously, Nico is not, available anymore. But how much is it of it is the quarterback play?
I mean, quarterback play good ones can uplift you, obviously, and really bad ones can sort of tank the entire operation. But I think it's unfair to say it's all the quarterback play, because there's so many things that are just wrong with this program and this team right now. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of one of those things. Like the last game, if you look at it, they have 2 freshmen that are sort of going back and forth at the moment, Khalil Wilkins and Scotty Fox Jr., which I love the name, by the way, Scotty Fox Jr. Against BYU, he was 3
Scotty Fox.
True freshmen. Scotty Fox Jr. was 3 for 3 for 54 yards and a touchdown. Khalil Wilkins was 7 of 15, 81 yards and 2 interceptions. Khalil Wilkins, though, he can actually move. He had 89 yards rushing, albeit it was on 23 carries in that football game. So, yeah, they just don't have a way to beat you really through the air, and that's why, like, I feel so confident, like so confident that this UCF defense is going to have themselves a day on Saturday. I think because I mean, this, like I said, right now statistically, UCF is a top 5 unit in the Big 12. They're giving this team a chance to win every single football game that they're in. Like, I don't worry about them, and I damn sure I'm not scared about Khalil Wilkins or Scotty Fox Jr. I realize those are my famous last words, and now Khalil Wilkins is going to have a career day. But that's where I'm at with it. By the way, side note, I went back and looked it up, Sean. I was off by 1. He's 21-8 coming off a bye.
That's crazy.
I think you forget, Rich Rodriguez has been a head coach since 2001.
Yeah, I know.
That's 20. That is by my UCF education, 24 years, sir.
Okay, but then how does that? Okay, if he's been a head coach since 2001, I'm not good at math, but how is he then 21-8 in bye weeks, coming off a bye? Oh, because they added 2. Okay, never mind. I just answered my own question. There's not only 1 bye week anymore. Okay, scratch that. Figure that one out in real time. Good job, Sean. Okay, so Khalil Wilkins looks like he's going to be the starter. That's kind of the assumption, is he'll go out there first. They haven't announced a starting quarterback. There was an article released of West Virginia Mountaineers on SI, and it kind of explains Rich Rodriguez kind of saying what a quarterback needs to do to basically just keep the starting job. And he says they're still learning our stuff, of course, but they're also learning the speed of the game at this level and all that stuff it takes to execute at a high level. So I thought last week it was good for them to get getting a lot of reps, and they'll do the same thing this week. So we'll see what happens. It's really not that complicated. Basically, just run the offense, making good decisions, making the plays that are there when they're there. If the play is not there, if it's a bad play call, helping it and not being disastrous and minimize the damage. That usually comes with more experience, but we don't have the benefit of that happening. So they've got to grow in a hurry. This is where there's the difference, right? Now, Khalil Wilkins, I don't think is true freshman. I think he's a freshman, a redshirt freshman.
Yeah, I think he was a Neil Brown guy.
Yeah. Here's the difference between UCF and West Virginia. UCF went out and got quarterbacks that are a little bit older. You got a Cam Fancher, right, who's a senior. You got a Taven Jackson, who maybe doesn't have the start under his belt, but is mature, right? You have a Jakari Brown, right? You have your 3 quarterbacks. And yes, you did go get a Davi Belfort, who's a little bit younger. But you have quarterbacks that have experience. Even if it's not necessarily in-game experience, like Taven doesn't have as much of that. With this situation with West Virginia, they were almost hoping that Nico was going to be the guy. Like, Nico's going to play all year, hands down, no questions asked. Well, that's not happening. Nico didn't play very well. I think he got injured. Am I right about that? I'm pretty sure Nico got injured.
Yeah, he got a foot injury, I believe, and he decided to hit the portal and withdraw. Yeah.
So it's kind of like credit to Scott Frost and the staff. They kind of helped themselves by having a bunch of backup options in case of injury, which, as we know, UCF has had to use all 3 of them. Whereas West Virginia is now relying on young quarterbacks that don't really have a lot of in-game experience, which is almost, again, trial by fire. And when you talk about a UCF defense that has played very well, and you're coming in with some quarterbacks that maybe aren't as experienced, though they've played a couple games the last couple weeks, I think, to your point, this is an opportunity for them to kind of feast and at least take away the passing game. They're going to be able to run the football. Players like that always are, but you definitely are going to be able to feast in the passing game, which I think UCF has done a very good job of this season.
Yeah, it's still all new for Khalil Wilkins, and this being basically the 3rd game that he's going to see action in, I believe, this season. Now, he does have, again, they are coming off the bye week, so what does anything look a little bit better? Does anything look a little bit different for West Virginia?
Kansas State looked a lot better off the bye week.
Right. Kansas State looked a lot better off the bye week against UCF. And so it's possible. And I will say, too, it's interesting, like the 2 philosophies you were talking about it there. UCF went the veteran route in the portal and obviously keeping Jakari on as well. So you have 3 quarterbacks who have played to some degree of college football and at, big programs ish. I say ish because Cam Fancher, not really. But West Virginia, they kind of this kind of wasn't their plan necessarily, but they're getting a really good opportunity here to sort of give a freshman some playing time here and trying to figure out if he could be the guy, moving forward. And for everything that I've read, like West Virginia fans on social media, like they seem to really like this guy and that there's a future there. There's something there about him. They say he's really tough and things like that. Obviously, I'm not going to lie to you and say that I've spent 1 minute watching live West Virginia football this year, but they seem to really like him a lot and are hopeful. So we'll see it, but it's interesting. It's like they have a guy here who's playing to see if he can be the guy moving forward for the program. Whereas from the UCF side, I haven't seen a single thing that convinces me that they won't be just going right back into the portal next year or throwing a true freshman potentially out to the fire right away.
Well, and that's kind of where these philosophies are very different. I think the original plan, which this still could be the plan, was Taven Jackson has 2 years of eligibility. He's using 1 here. I think the assumption was Taven Jackson's going to be our guy for the next 2 years. And then a guy like Kane Archer, who I think a lot of UCF fans are excited about, would probably, take over. And as you notice, UCF's recruiting is really bad right now. Like it is. Like, not to, be negative Nancy, but it's really bad. Like they really haven't been able to nab a bulk of a recruiting class for this upcoming year. But they just got a 2027 quarterback commit. They have 2 quarterbacks committed for the 2026 class. So you're starting to see, first of all, Mackenzie Milton, great hire. Second, UCF is starting to build their future at quarterback. And I think they understand that if they can get those solidified, it'll help them build the rest of their team out. Whereas West Virginia is almost, a year ahead of UCF in that sense, where they have two young quarterbacks that are already on the roster and are giving a bunch of playing time too, and they're going to be able to figure out really quick if those are the guys.
And maybe it's unfair, like, because the Taven thing, maybe it's unfair of me, because I mean, I agree with you. That was the plan. You have Taven for 2 years, and at the same time, you can have some freshmen underneath or some inexperienced guys that you can sort of work in there when you need to, but get them some experience, right? Maybe it's unfair of me to completely, write Taven off of what we've seen so far, because I mean, he has had the injuries, but that is kind of part of the evaluation, is it not? Like, he's kind of proving himself to be just a little bit injuries, all over the place.
I'm not blaming him.
I'm not saying they're all, but they're not on him though. It's not on him, but it has to. I'm sure it has to be
down the.
I know that I'm not trying to say I'm blaming Taven Jackson. I'm not doing it at all. And that's why I'm saying right now, let me finish. It's probably unfair of me to like completely throw the book out on him, because the offensive line it's the offensive line right now. And then even this receiver group, like, I mean, UCF had 11 guys catch passes against Cincinnati. Yeah, I wouldn't call that necessarily a great thing. Like, it's they just don't have a guy. And if you're looking at, so I'm maybe next year when they have some better talent at the receiver position, and that was one of the things I was going to mention, at least UCF is able to get Wade and Charles on the field as much as they can right now. And at least they're able to get CJ Jenkins on the field as much as they can right now, right? And those guys are getting some valuable playing time, and those guys are getting some valuable snaps. I understand that they're going to make mistakes. It's going to happen, but I think that's what this year is for. I mean, at some of these key positions, you have to find some guys that you could say, okay, that's a building block for the future. That's a guy that I want around next year. And so that's the good thing. You don't have it at quarterback necessarily, but you have it at some other positions.
100%. And that's where you like to see the young guys playing, getting opportunities, and you kind of move on from there and see, okay, what can UCF do with those young guys moving forward? But, West Virginia at quarterback is definitely starting that now. And you kind of move on to the running game for West Virginia. Khalil Wilkins is their leading rusher at quarterback. And again, I think that tells you everything. I don't think Khalil Wilkins has played in every game. He's played in a good chunk of them. But, I mean...
It kind of hurts. Like, Jaheim White is out for the season, I think, for West Virginia. And, like, last year they had Jaheim White and they had CJ Donaldson back there. And Donaldson obviously is at Ohio State, so he was really good. And Jaheim White I thought was pretty good as well, and he's not playing anymore. So they're kind of scrambling. But it's sort of interesting when you look at their if you look at the stats, it's so insane, Sean. Like, they have 7 players with 24 carries or more this year. It's kind of insane.
Yeah. Last week against BYU, they had 47 rushing attempts for 156 yards. And they threw the ball 18 times. So they threw the ball 18 times, ran at 47. And against Utah, who, I mean, I haven't looked at the Utah stats, if I'm being honest, but I know Utah usually is a good, they had success against BYU. BYU, they ran it 48 times for 261 yards. Granted, some of it's a little skewed. Like, they had a receiver run for a 68-yard carry.
They ran it for 261 yards for 5.4 average against Utah,
and they only threw it 13 times there.
But there was a 68-yard points. There was a 68-yard run in there, by the way. They had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 guys. 10 guys ran the ball for them in that Utah game. They threw the ball 13 times. So I think we basically know what we're getting here.
Yeah,
I think we know.
Welcome to Navy 2.0. Welcome to Army. You're gonna. They throw it a little bit more than those schools, but just get ready to see run after run after run after run after run. And to be fair, if you watch the UCF tape, and I will say UCF has been much better on the run. They played really well against Cincinnati last week at stopping the run. They can get leaky at sometimes with the quarterback run game. But I think if you're UCF, Nick, and you just say, we are going to stop the run at all costs, we will let them throw the ball. We will play man coverage. We'll play one-on-ones all game, but we'll put 8 in the box and literally go do the thing that teams did to UCF last year, put 8 in the box. I think that's kind of what should be the mindset for UCF.
I think it will be the mindset, and the counter to that is, I think West Virginia knows that's what's coming. So I'm sure it's going to be that usual sort of chess match that you see between coaches, and it might be one of those things where it works in the first half or it doesn't work in the first half, and they might switch a little bit. So it'll be interesting, but I'd like to think that you know what you're going to get from this West Virginia team come Saturday. It does kind of suck that, again, Horace not being there. And I think Sincere Edwards got banged up too in that Cincinnati game. So we'll see. But I just do not feel like they should be a threat to this defense. I just don't.
No, I think UCF should do very well. Let's quickly kind of talk about the West Virginia defense a little bit. They kind of started off strong, Nick. Obviously, they played Robert Morris and only allowed 3 points.
Oh, wow. They started off strong against Robert Morris. Cool.
Yeah. Against Ohio, they did lose to Ohio. The defense, that was literally, so the Ohio game was literally our game against Jack State just flipped. UCF got the win, but they lost to Ohio 17-10. And again, against Pittsburgh, they allowed 24 points there.
They gave up almost 500 yards of offense against Ohio, by the way, and only 17 points because Parker Navarro had like 4 turnovers, I think.
Yeah. But the last 3 weeks, to that point, the last 3 weeks in conference play, they've allowed 41 points, 48 points, and 38 points. And again, they played 3 of the better teams in the conference, or in terms of Kansas, one of the best offenses. Utah, not really that good of an offense, if we're being completely frank. And then BYU.
Is this Devin Dampier slander that I'm hearing here?
No, I'm just being honest. Their offense is not, world beaters. They're okay.
It sounded like Devin Dampier slander.
No. I mean, again, the Utah offense has played good the last 2 weeks. Don't get me wrong. I don't think they're going to be able to keep that up. I like Utah. I really do like Utah. So what do you think about the West Virginia? You kind of have alluded to it. They've got a couple guys that, are decent. But all in all, this defense is probably one of the worst you'll see in the Big 12 this year.
Yeah, I really don't know what there is to say, Sean. It's just not a good unit. They've showed themselves not to be that in Big 12 play. And I will agree with you, the joking aside, like they have played three of the best teams in the conference so far. And they're probably looking at UCF's offense going, "Oh, this is a chance for us to sort of get right. This is a chance for us to finally get a little bit of a break and have a better showing." And it's going to be incumbent on the UCF offense to go out there and do something, because I don't know. I just I not to sound like a broken record, but we know that I think UCF's defense, we trust them at this point, especially in this football game. Do we trust this offense? No matter, but whoever's playing quarterback, whether it's Cam or whether it's Taven, I'm not going to include Jakari because I really don't think he's even a factor at this point. Unless for his he
is for packages. He's healthy, so you'll see some packages.
So I was going to say, outside of his packages, he's not really in play at all when it comes to playing every snap or anything like that. So whether it's Cam or whether it's Taven, I don't really care. Like, you have to get it done here. You just have to. You're good enough, I think, to go out there and beat West Virginia the same way you were able to claw your way to 20 points against Kansas State. You did it against Kansas. I know last week you didn't score any points really, but you moved the ball enough. So that's positive. But can you cut down on the penalties just a little bit, and give yourself a fighting chance and try to be the team that's the aggressor here? Because for the first time in 3 weeks, Sean, you have the chance to really be on the forefront here.
Yeah, ultimately, it's going to be, can you score points when you get to the other side of the 50? Are you not beating yourself? That was one of the more infuriating games to watch last week. It just felt like UCF is moving the ball. They're getting first downs. But then a drive would stall. or the offensive line would it would be a false start or a holding or, a chop block, like stupid stuff that you just felt like if UCF would just play one clean drive, you can get down there and score some points. I think against this West Virginia team, they're going to give up some yards. You're going to be able to move the ball. The question is, are you going to beat yourself? They're on the road. They're coming on the road. And again, like Nick said earlier, just as like UCF fans are looking at this game saying this is our opportunity to get one, they're thinking the same way. They're looking at, we've been playing some pretty good teams as of late, and we finally get UCF on the schedule. And they're going to have a lot of fans in the stands. West Virginia fans travel well. It's going to be a good West Virginia contingent there. So I think all those factors, me and Nick are just saying, hey, this is a game that you should be able to win. But at the same time, if you play like you have on offense the last couple of weeks and your defense is out there, and even if your defense makes a couple mistakes, like you need to still play a pretty flawless game on offense to win this one, just because it might be an opportunity where you guys are going to have to score a lot of points. All right, Nick, let's get into predictions. I'll let you go first. The line is officially UCF 7.5. That's how much they think of West Virginia. The line, UCF is favored by 7.5 on FanDuel.
Yeah, I'm done with these. I'm done with these October curses that you speak of about how they can't win games in October. I'm tired of hearing about it. I just cannot fathom UCF losing to this version of West Virginia. UCF is not a good football team, Sean, but they are a scrappy bunch, and they will at least remain competitive against better competition, which is all we've asked of them, to be fair to this point. This is an inferior opponent. This opponent is more in line with what I think you saw North Carolina was. If North Carolina and West Virginia played each other, boy, it would be a barn burner. Not really, but I'd be curious to see who won that game. I'm going to go UCF 31, and I'm going to go West Virginia 17. I think I think you have some margin here, Sean. I think you have some margin here.
Yours is actually very close to mine. And actually, that was the score I was going to say originally, but in my head, I switched it back a little bit. So we don't know who's starting at quarterback. We've heard that they should be all good to go. We have no idea who's starting. Listen, I think personally, the vibes I got from Scott Frost talking about Cam in the game, if Taven Jackson is healthy, I think Taven will get the start. That's just my vibe, my feel on it. I don't have any inside intel on that. But that is a big question. How healthy are these guys? How healthy? I mean, Cam was getting lit up in that game last week. Taven obviously has multiple injuries he's nursing and looks like he might be good to go. Jakari also has an injury. So I do think that plays a factor. At the end of the day, if you can't run the football on this West Virginia team, if you can't have offense against this West Virginia team, if you can't put the ball in the end zone, if you can't on defense hold this team to 17 or less, then this rest of the season might be a little rough. Besides Oklahoma State, this is the second worst team you're going to see. I think Oklahoma State is worse than West Virginia, but it's very comparable. You need to win this game. I'm going to go UCF 27, West Virginia 17. The only reason I'm not getting into 30s is the offense has not hummed for the last 3 weeks like it needed to. The best we've seen it was against Kansas in the first half, and then the second half since it's been abysmal. So I do think, until we get back into the saying UCF can score 30, I think 27 being we don't know the quarterback right now. I think if you can hold them to 17, you should win this game. If they start scoring more than 17 points,
I never said that all 31 points were going to come from the offense.
No, you didn't. You didn't. I'm just strictly saying you need to hold them to 17 points. If they get more than 17, I don't know if I trust UCF right now on offense to be able to do it. But I think 27, 17. That's kind of my thought process. But I need to win. We need to win, Nick. We need to win in October. Like, get the monkey off the back. I get it was a previous staff, but man, I need to go into the bye week on a high and saying you need 2 wins to go to a bowl game. You have 2 wins. Go get 2 wins. I need it. But any final thoughts? Pretty cut and dry episode. Not much else to say about this one.
Yeah, like I said, this is gonna. I mean, we say every game we learn something about UCF, right? But this is where you really kind of figure out how the rest of the season is probably going to unfold itself. So we'll be there. We'll be watching 1:00 kick time on TNT, which is this whole thing is bizarre, very bizarre. This 1:00 start time stuff, but yep, it's homecoming week. It doesn't really mean much to me anymore, to be honest with you. But I hope the students are ready. So
I hope they are too.
I'll leave it there.
It's 1:00. Just FYI, it's 1:00. The game will be over by 4:30, 5:00. So you have all night to do whatever the hell you want. Stay in the stands. That's all I'm going to say.
I knew I was setting you up for that.
No, you have nowhere else to go. It's a 1:00 kick.
What's the weather
nowhere
like?
else to be.
What's the weather like?
Clear. No rain. Dry. Perfectly fine. No rain at all in the forecast.
You've already vetted this and everything.
Yep. Yes, I have. So I'm already letting you guys know.
Sunny and 80. Cool.
Sunny and 80. And there might be a little breeze too. We're getting that little fall winter in. So
man, maybe I'll actually wear pants for the first time. Hold on, let me rephrase that. Let me be clear. I have worn a version of pants every game. Okay, let me make that clear. But maybe I will actually wear long pants to a game for the first time this year. Maybe it'll actually come out.
That'd be nice if you just wore pants. You usually don't.
Nobody cares about this stuff, but stalling.
It's fine. Please stay in the stands. I'm begging. Because West Virginia fans will show up.
They're going to have more people than they did 2 years ago. We were at that game.
Yes, and they will stay in the stands the entire game. They're not going to leave at halftime. So please stay in the stands.
Though. Good people.
They are great, good fans. Please stay in the stands. It's homecoming. You have nowhere else to be until that night. Just stay in the stands. All right, everybody. That's going to do it. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, we're going to have our pregame live show at 11:30, 11:45 around that time. We'll have our postgame show directly after the game.
It's whenever Nick decides to show up on Saturday.
That's also valid. I'm giving you an estimate.
I'm just kidding. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there bright and early on Saturday.
You kind of have no choice, but
that's true. They have left me with no choice, but
no choice. Please like, subscribe, comment, share, do all that you do. And as always, we are sponsored by FanDuel. Guys, I told you the line is 7.5. I think the over-under right now is 46.5. So shouldn't be that high scoring of a game according to FanDuel. But if you think so, take the over and take UCF minus 7.5 if you so choose. If you think it's going to be a close game, go take West Virginia. The best lines are on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, and a proud sponsor of the Charge On podcast. All right, everybody, that's going to do it. Let's hope for a UCF victory to go 4-3. This has been Charge On presented by FanDuel. We will see you on Saturday.